site investigation, from the title itself, it tells you that you have to investigate the site before the construction work begins. Site investigation is an evaluation process on the factors affecting the selection and usage of sites. So basically, you have to go and collect the data about the site, and you have to analyze and prepare reports, whether it's business report or it's proposal. You have to have an output of the site investigation. Execute at the pre-construction stage, meaning you have to do the investigation before any construction work begins. Site investigation usually limited to the proposed construction site only, so dekat site tu je yang you investigate. But in some circumstances, it depends on the project, it needs to be done at the surrounding area which have an existing buildings or structures nearby. For example, in Kuala Lumpur, it's in certain areas like Bangsa, Damansara, KLCC areas, they are very congested. You have tall buildings around you, so you may have like a tiny land. And when you do site investigation, you have to consider, buildings and structures around the piece of land that you have in Kuala Lumpur. Or if you are in a rural site, you still have to see many factors, not only at that site, maybe the surrounding area, depends. We will go through this later, right? It is important to obtain previous site investigation records as a reference and comparison during the investigation. However, if it's like a very new area whereby, people has never done any study, you may have a piece of land at the rural area, a very remote area, jauh daripada orang di Sabah Sarawak ke dalam. So you need to do the site investigation, collect the data from scratch. Like you may need to see different parties to get data. Type of information needed may be varied, depends on the type of project and soil conditions. So if you have a big project, you need more information. If you have small project, like you want to build a wooden house for your own, then you may not need so many information. It all depends. The importance of site investigation is actually, it tells you the actual condition on site. The importance of the site investigation is actually, it tells you the actual condition on site. And it was when you visit, you will know the problems on the site, and you can foresee what needs to be done so that you don't encounter the problem later. So you identify all the problems at the beginning so that you can solve the problems. To ensure good and economic structure is being built, and to ensure a safe building for tenants and the publics and the stakeholders. So when you build something, you need to be considered whether it's safe, the ground, whether you have high water tables, and so on. The objectives of, firstly, you need to know the suitability of the site and the environment for the proposed works, including implications of previous use or contamination. So if the site has been used before for plantation maybe, so you may have contaminated land or soil. So what needs to be done? You need to understand that when you visit the site. A very simple example I can give is, our parents sometimes they want to buy a piece of land to buat tanah kebun, tanam durian, musangking lah, apalah, pokok duku lah. So to plant durian trees, you need to know whether the site is suitable. You pergi beli a piece of land at a developed area, maybe dekat taman kawasan perumahan, there's one empty lot. You want to buy that. It's a residential lot. Tapi you pergi tanam pokok durian. It wouldn't be wise for you to do that, because the first thing is the title of the land. Lepas tu nanti jiran pula ada problem. So when you have kebun, you will invite many animals, you will have snakes and all those sorts. So it may not be suitable. you have to go and visit the site, because sometimes when you open an advertisement, people say, oh, this land is just, near the the main road. Tapi bila you pergi visit, it's not actually at the main road. So the main road to them is actually, we'll go through that, right? The second one is the selection of site or choice you have. So you may see several advertisements like, okay, kat sini nak jual tanah kebun, sana jual tanah kebun. So you visit different types of land. You pergi, you check, okay, ni land nombor 1, land nombor 2, land nombor 3, suitable tak nak tanam pokok durian kat sini. So there are elements to see when you visit each site. Bukan you pergi tengok suka-suka je kan. You have things that you need to see. We will go through that later. Design purpose. So when architects, they do site investigation, they need to know the sun orientation, the shape of the land and other things, so that they can design according to the nature of the site itself. So then they can provide an adequate and economic design. Construction methods. When you visit the site, you may encounter different types of soil. Just in a piece of land, you may have non-cohesive and cohesive soil. You may have like very highly disturbed soil, macam like muddy. Okay, so then your method of construction will be different. Like excavation, macam I have explained to you in the previous chapter. Excavation for non-cohesive and cohesive soil may be different because yang berjelikit tu kan I have explained. Okay. Determine effects or changes. To determine the changes that may arise in the ground and environmental conditions, either naturally or as a result of the works. So changes meaning if you do something, may that project cause a landslide, for example. So you do excavation, do you need to do more extra work because your site is a bit hilly? So if you do construction here and then you make slope, do you need to do something like slope stabilization for that site? Changes that whatever you do now may result in changes later. So you need to identify that. The effects of such changes on the work, on works around you and the environment in general. So if you do a project, would that disturb your neighbors? For example, if you do an agricultural project, you built a kandang kambing, and although it's far from other people, would that disturb the neighbors? Would that disturb ladang-ladang bersebelahan? You need to see all that. Soil conditions, the topography, the types of soil, the strata, the capacity, underground water level. So that has to be done. So soil investigation is normally done after the site investigation. But during site investigation, you can have a rough ideas. Go and visit. You can see whether it's sandy or it's cohesive. If you don't do a proper site investigation, the first, effect you may have is failure on the structure. You may have cracks on the wall because you will have settlement. Tanah tu mendap sebelah. We will learn this a bit more on soil improvement. Okay, so if your soil is not strong enough and you built a very big structure above, you do not have proper foundation, your building may collapse or cracks, or if you didn't see water underneath your site, you didn't recognize there was a river and then you built a structure, then the same thing may happen. Structure which almost complete need to be demolished and rebuilt. So you dah siap, dah habis siap, tiba-tiba tengok benda ni ada tak sesuai, so kenalah kalau zaman dulu-dulu they can actually angkat rumah tu because the foundation is just above the ground. So that was traditional house. We're talking about things yang you dah piling semua, tiba-tiba tengoklah tak sesuai. So you dah piling-piling baru tahu tak sesuai. There were several cases like that when they did piling because they didn't do a thorough soil investigation. So piling tu ada yang table, lost or waste overall project cost because you have to demolish ke, and then you realize something, you need to do more work, alihkan air sungai, you need more time, manpower, and danger to the tenants and publics and stakeholders. And it creates social problems. Like I mentioned just now, if you plant durian trees in a residential area, you may create social problems, difficulties in communications, you will have problems with the neighbors, disagreement, and like what's happening in Kampung Baru now and Keramat, and previously in Kampung Datuk Harun, where people actually argue why this need to be built. And recently a new project in Shiraz, they built a condominium on a public field. So people around there made a lot of complaints, like why is this happening to our area, lots of conflicts and disagreement. So you need to do a proper site investigation. This is what happened when you didn't do proper site investigation. So what need to be investigated when you do site investigations? So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. About 9 elements. You may have more, you may have less. It depends. But I'm only touching on 9 of the elements. The first one is the terrain. It shows you the bentuk muka bumi, okay? Whether it's flat or it's hilly or it's swampy. It gives you an overall figure on the infrastructure works that need to be prepared before the construction work commences on site. So if your site is a bit hilly, then you need to know, you need to provide several things on the site. So the site can be defined either flat, meaning macam lurus. Okay, you may have like 0 to 3 degree of gradient. Dia tak condong, dia flat. Or hilly, it's more than 25%. Or you can have a piece of land at a developed area where it's macam mana cakap, it's the earthwork is done macam MRT. When they did site investigation, of course, the MMC Gamuda yang buat all the initial site investigation, but when the selected contractor came in, they went to visit the site. It's called site visit during the tendering process. Then the site they visited were already being flattened. Okay. Sometimes the terrain of the site also can be described based on the following factors. It's full of trees, the river, it's rocky, macam dekat Puncak Iskandar. If you come drive through here before you graduate atau masa you ambil degree nanti, because now it's the corona time, you're not actually here. So if you come and visit around Puncak Iskandar, if you go a bit further up to the way where you can get to Parit, you can see rocks like on the site. It's brown in color. Existing building, for example, if you go to Institute Latihan, ILD, UITM in Kampung Gajah. Kampung Gajah. On the site, they have new buildings and old buildings. So existing buildings, when they got that site for institute, they have existing buildings. So they only use part of the land to make, to conduct trainings for us. But there are parts of the land where they don't use. You can see some old buildings demolished. Some of them are really in bad conditions because they don't really use those old buildings. So yeah, so you can describe that as well, the terrain. So this is an example of a very hilly site. You can see a river and an ocean there, and you can also see a bit of flat area on your right top. This is something not as hilly as the above picture. You have quite a big area of flat land, and you have hilly areas a bit on your right, and you have so many trees at the back, so it depends on the site. The second one is the types of work. So the first thing you have seen, bentuk muka bumi. The second one now is the types of work. So when you go to the site, it is important to determine the type of soil on the proposed site, whether it's sandy or rocky or swampy, or is it watery, you have abandoned mines, or if it's very muddy. So when you go to the site, you can discover this from your orang kata mata kasar. Examples of consideration need to be taken, whether it's a big project, whether your project is really huge, so you have to visit like thoroughly, and you need the specialists and geologists. You need to do soil investigation, prelim soil investigation. Then the rock layers. Problem in excavation work, you may need blasting, you may need different techniques, you may not be able to use the dynamite because of the surrounding areas, or you need to check. Abandoned minings atau abandoned mines, lumbung-lumbung macam around this area in Ipoh, we still have in Trono we still have mines yang orang buat pancing-pancing. We still have minings, and this need extra soil improvement works. I would touch in about this dekat dalam topik soil improvement, not here. Then the types of work also includes the method of construction to ensure that new construction work is safe and will not affect the nearest existing buildings. I've mentioned this before. Workers and publics, factors affecting the safety measures, soil excavation. So when you do excavations, you need to see many things to reduce the risk. Vibration, when you do piling, we have vibrations, and when you have vibrations, meaning the ground will have movement, and buildings around you will also get the vibration, and then buildings around you may get cracked as well. Underground water, it can hit your foundation and make your structure become very unstable on the ground, and it can collapse. That's what happened to the Highland Tower in Ulu Klang long time ago. And you need to see whether the methods are suitable for the proposed site. So maybe your site is small. For nanti bila belajar basement, we have different types of excavation. Depends on the site itself. Kalau kecil macam mana, kalau besar you have space, you can make a slope. Kalau kecil you may not have space, you cannot do the slope. So methods that are suitable for the proposed site. You need to see your site, and you can actually have a rough idea when you do your site investigation. The third one you have to investigate is the basic facilities. Access road. This is very important. Is it available, or do we need to construct a temporary one to the site? So if you have existing access road, then it's good for you. But if you don't have an existing road, you need to construct temporary ones, and then you need extra cost for that. Kalau selalunya nak buat kebun sebelah-sebelah dalam, you need access road. Sometimes you kena cross orang punya land, because nak masuk land you tu yang reserve kerajaan, it's so far away. You need to turn like miles away, and to get into that reserved area maybe susah. So you nampak ada jalan yang kena cross orang punya tanah. So you have to check. types of road, whether it's a paved road or is it like just on the left right, or you only have very rough access road, pakai crush and run. Factors need to be measured to estimate an overall cost for road works. How long the distance from the main road ataupun from the road that is paved to your site. This is crucial because if you have lorries macam concrete and lorries to send your materials to the site, just imagine how long they have to transport the material. It will affect on your cost because you punya jalan nak masuk site itu ke dalam jauh, road pula tak ada, so it's bouncy kalau tak ada proper road. Types of road, width and design, kecil ke besar ke, jalan tu sempit ke, selalunya kalau masuk kawasan rural ni sempit. So bila sempit, sometimes kalau hujan pula tanah tu jadi lembik, lorry will have difficulties, tayar masuk dalam, lorry terbalik, so all sorts of problems you will have just from the access road. And types and source of materials of the road. This is one example. My brother-in-law, he was an engineer and he had a project in Sarawak. So he mentioned that the road was something like this. It has pressure run, nampak pressure run macam batu atas jalan, nampak jalan pun lebar, nampak okey lah, ada layers of road. But kalau panjang sangat site tu, dia kata jalan tu for him to get to the site from the main road to the site was only about 30 kilometer or something like that, he mentioned to me. But it took them hours to get to the site because of this type of road. It looks okay, but when you are on the road, it's bouncy. It's like you can't really drive fast. So they had to drive really slow, and it took them about 2 to 3 hours to get to the site in Sarawak. So you have to look at this. It's very important. Road is very important. This one as well, it's cohesive and you can see it's compacted. I can see some stones. But what if, Malaysia, we have heavy rains. Dia ada lopak ke, lubang ke, potholes. That's not good. Or maybe you have something like this. It's good. It's good because it's paved. And this is extremely good. But you still need to see how can you get sebab kalau dalam belajar kan layout kan, saya layout, you have learned this in your building construction in semester 1. So how do you want to design your site, the layout of the site? Okay. And water supply. What if you have a piece of land but there's no water on the site? How are you going to wash ataupun bancuh concrete, for example, or you need water. In construction, we need water anyway for construction. Water supply in Perak, of course, it's Lembaga Air Perak, LAP, JBA. So you can tap on to the site from the existing main pipe provided. So if your site is near to the water supply, then it's good. You need to check the current capacity and water pressure of the pipe. Sometimes you have the pipe but the water pressure is really low. You need to check. You nak buat condominium but water pressure is really low. What's the point? So I have a friend who's currently doing a project in Jalan Ampang. So he's building a very exclusive bungalow on Jalan Ampang. And he said the water pressure there is really low, so they have to do extra work, like they have to excavate from that lot. They already have the pipe, but because the water pressure was really low, they have to excavate a different pipe. They have to lay a new pipe for that house. So it adds the cost to the client. If the current supply is inadequate for the new area, new water supply layout pipe need to be designed, as I mentioned just now. rural area, temporary source. Just imagine Jalan Ampang, it's in KL, it's near KLCC. So what can be wrong? What can go wrong with developed area like that? But the water pressure was low anyway. Okay, you need to know electrical supply. Do you have the electric pole near your site? If it's really at the back ataupun dekat rural, dekat remote area, you may need generator set as a temporary supply. Do you need that, or do you need a new substation? How long do you need to pull the electric cable from the last pole? You need to see tiang yang last tu, tiang. You pergi balik rumah, you nampak akan ada tiang TNB. So that's the number. So you need to find the nearest tiang for TNB. Lay the new cables for you, and of course you need to pay the TNB certain some money untuk diorang buat new cables. Telephone and communication is very, very important. So is internet connection crucial for you? Because nowadays we have what do they call intelligent artificial intelligence. Okay, they do excavation in, I don't know, for example, this is happening right now, okay, dekat Germany. They control the excavation using computer. So they were controlling it in Germany, but the project was somewhere else in different country. So dekat sana they just put an excavator without any operator because they are operating it in Germany. So do you need a good internet connection? What's the best network? Cellcom ke Maxis ke? Sometimes Maxis doesn't work, like here where I am in Puncak Iskandar. Cellcom was not that good, but now it's okay because I don't know. So you need to find out what's the best network. So this is the first one is TNB punya tiang, TNB pole. You can see yang BKR 11LB, that's the number of the pole. So kalau you nak tarik, TNB akan tanya which tiang, apa nombor tiang. Kalau ada masalah elektrik kat rumah you pun, they will ask you the number of the electrical pole. Sebelah kanan is the tiang telekom, and bawah itu adalah meter air. So if your site do not have a water meter, you need to tap from your neighbor. You need to find your neighbor, you need to go and talk to your neighbor. They may request you, you may need to request them their water and electricity bills, like my mom's farm. We were the last to have electric and water supply. So about a year ago, we had a new owner, dia pajak tanah dekat belakang China tu. So he needed electricity and water. He came and see us, can we have your bills, sebab TNB dengan LAP minta. So we gave them our bills, and they actually pulled, tarik air and electric daripada our last point. Existing works I've mentioned just now. If you have existing works, macam I kata Kampung Gajah, Institute Latihan UiTM di Kampung Gajah, so they already have existing buildings. So you need to investigate previous or defect failures occurred on existing buildings. It is important to know what are the reasons of failures for better precautions and improvement in future. So just let me tell you a story. I was a core volunteer for Mercy Malaysia back in 2006. So at the end of year 2006, they sent me to Pakistan to do a mission, important mission, because they had earthquake dekat Kashmir, Azad Jammu Kashmir sebelah atas dekat Bagh. So when they had earthquake, kebanyakan bangunan diorang crack, runtuh, orang ada kematian, high mortality rate, because people were harmed by collapsed buildings, batu semua lah. So I was the only lady from UIT in Perak who were involved in this project. So we went there to build a new district health office. I was given a responsibility to undertake site investigation work. So when I went there, I had to go about 1 kilometer of radius from where they wanted to build the DHO ataupun district health office. At that point, daripada point tu, saya buat macam radius bulatan about 1 kilometer. I had to walk around. I had to find many other things so that I can prepare reports bila nak buat DHO tu, so that they are aware what is happening around them. So just imagine dekat site tu, dekat just bawah tu, we have so many damaged buildings. Okay, for example, like this. These are not my pictures. I have pictures I've taken, but sebab dah lama sangat, tahun 2006, so I do not know where are the pictures. They are somewhere, but I don't know where they are. But just something like this. If you see the first picture, you nampak tak daripada atas sampai ke bawah, the building is cracked in the middle. It's something like what I saw in Azad Jammu Kashmir. It's very dangerous. But when I went there, I saw people still living in this building because they didn't have anywhere else to stay. So they had to stay at very poor condition of buildings like this. So if you have piling works, if you do piling works, and if you pakai yang hammer, you hentam, and you have vibrations, and that vibration may make the cracked building collapse. The second one is the same. So you have a cracked wall there. And the third one, daripada earthquake juga saya dapat gambar ni. Something like this, apa yang saya nampak di Jammu Kashmir. It was that bad. Okay, so you have to know what are the things. Even I masuk masjid, the only place yang less damage was the mosque dekat sana, as far as I can remember. But the rest, dia macam ni lah, lebih kurang. Okay. Construction material. So when I did site investigation in Azad Jammu Kashmir, because it's at the top, dia atas tau, dia nak daripada bawah tu nak naik atas, it took us hours, berapa jam I tak ingat, tapi sangat lama, dan jalan dia sangat narrow. It's like, kalau you pernah tengok movie Hindi kan, it's, how can I say, dia kat tepi bukit, dan di bawah tu boleh jalan satu kereta je, naik dan turun satu kereta saja untuk jalan kat jalan tu. So dia kena horn sometimes kalau jalan tu berlingkar-lingkar, dan dia bawa sangat laju. So dekat bawah tu semua gaung. It was a very scary experience because I sat at the front. I was the only lady, so I sat at the front, and I had 3 more team members at the back. One, he was doing soil investigation. The other one, he did land survey. The other one, he did the costing. So he went there he was a QS. So I had to go up and find materials dekat atas. Apa yang ada? Sources, especially main materials. You sand, aggregate, cement, bricks, premix. I need to know, because if they don't have materials at Azad Jammu Kashmir dekat atas tu, then we have to transport materials from daripada bawah or nearby places. So we have the basic materials there, macam sand, aggregates. We had these materials there, tapi ada materials lain yang tak ada, macam kayu semua. We had to find suppliers daripada bawah. Determination of source, cost, supplier methods to supply those materials to site, naik lori ke apa ke daripada bawah. To estimate the suitability and quantity of materials that can be obtained from excavation work, where they can be replaced or reclaimed at other places. So if you need if you excavate, if you do some excavation work, macam tadi existing buildings, mungkin dekat dalam tanah dekat DHO tu was an empty land, but we have some existing structures yang we had to demolish the structures. Lepas tu nak kena angkut ke mana, nak buang kat mana? Dekat situ pun dah banyak sampah because earthquake kan. So kat mana kita nak transport benda tu? And bila kita nak bawa material tu naik atas, kat mana kita nak simpan? The source material that's suitable for certain purpose, to find out suitable areas or site to dispose material waste. Benda ni semua kena siasat. So these are three main important materials in construction works. The first one is the cement, and you have the aggregates, reinforcement bars, or BRC, kayu, bricks. So it depends what actually is your project all about. Kalau nak buat gudang, maybe you tak guna kayu, you guna banyak steel structure. Drainage, this is also very important to determine on how to flow water off site. Otherwise your site can be can suffer from flood. Is there any existing drain nearby? Can you connect your drainage system to the existing monsoon drain? For example, apa sungai yang paling dekat nak buang ni? I have seen several sites yang when they did construction works, they didn't have proper drainage. Site tu sendiri masa construction banjir. Then baru tergeh-geh cakap kedalaman tak cukup lah. Padahal dia punya flow of water tak sampai ke river, tak bagus dia punya drainage system. It's the same thing. My students previously, they did assignment. They did a small research between Penang and Terengganu ke Kelantan. It was Terengganu, I think. So they found out that the drain in Terengganu or Kelantan, I can't remember which negeri apa? Lupa pula. Okay, so they investigated and they found out that the drainage in Terengganu was very poor sebab orang kat sana, diorang ada their own individual piece of land. So bila diorang ada tanah sendiri, diorang buat rumah sendiri, rumah kampung sendiri, tapi diorang tak buat drainage, proper drainage. So aliran air tu jadi tak sampai, jadi tak cantik lah compared to areas yang macam dekat Penang. It was really bad. Dekat area mana entah, it was a flood area, tapi after they did some redesign of the drainage system, dia buat betul-betul tersusun, kawasan tu tak ada problem langsung sebab banjir. Sewerage system. Need to decide whether to provide connection to the central sewerage system or to build temporary septic tank. This one you have learned in your services, that subject services. Okay. Flood level. Look at this. This was Kuala Lumpur not long time ago. Some few months ago. Especially at the East Coast, and you may need extra work, you may need fill up area, you may need cut and cover. Macam arwah bapak saya dulu beli tanah, he realised nasib baik before construction dia tak collect flood level punya data, and actually they didn't have the flood level data for that area, for that particular area, they didn't have. So dia tengah duduk, it was rained like dogs and cats. It was so heavy, and air naik sebab tepi tu ada sungai. So air naik sehingga ke paras pinggang. Then my late dad decided to tambak tanah dekat mana yang sekarang ni rumah my mum lah, dekat farm tu. So dia tinggi, dia tambak banyak tanah, dia cut dia cut tanah kat belakang tu, hill, and then dia tambak ke depan. Okay, related social problems. Example, in KL, you have rumah tinggal, squatters, and they have protest development on their area, macam Kampung Baru that they have mentioned. You know, you may have so many kinds of social problems. For example, my friend, he was a project manager at one of the construction site in Klang Pendamaran. Siapa orang Klang di sini? Okay, orang Klang di kawasan Pendamaran, you know it's quite many issue that area. So he said almost every week he had to pay, or the site had to pay, apa tu, duit poket dekat gangster. Otherwise, the gangster will make lots of issues, theft, you know, they bakar pintu gate depan. So they created so many problems. So my friend, of course, nak bayar lagi dekat diorang, bukannya sikit-sikit nak kena bayar every week. So my friend went to meet, the head of the village. Apa tu, ketua kampung pergi jumpa ketua kampung. He told the ketua kampung, this is the problem in this area, we need to sort this out, you know, what can be done. Rupanya ketua kampung tu pun part of the gangsters. So they had to negotiate, buatlah some negotiations. So they paid after certain apa tu, negotiate. Diorang bayar sum of money to the ketua kampung, and after that dah tak ada gangguan lagi lah. Okay, so you have to see that area whether it's good or not. Build up area, setbacks, sun orientation, the entrance, the shape of the land and structure. If your land is small, you nak buat rumah besar, you nak buat sampai kat hujung, tak boleh lah, because every development there are rules you have to follow. You need to allow the setbacks. Setbacks also depends on the district, but in Puncak, in Perak Tengah, for example, we need to have at least 10 feet of setbacks from the front of the gate to the main entrance, and about 5 feet to the sides if you have a bungalow lot, and about 5 feet for the back as well. So it depends. You need setbacks, and sun orientation, kat mana matahari naik, kat mana matahari turun. You need to know dekat mana dia naik turun supaya you boleh design nicely. Site investigation, methods of investigation, you can have desk study, meaning you Google, you see YouTube about the area, and you investigate more when you go to the site, and you investigate deeper when you do examinations and special studies, and you do soil investigation, and then you review during construction and monitoring. So you may have different methods of investigation at one time, or maybe you only need to do the desk study because you already have the previous report. It all depends, because so far each of the site is unique. No one site is similar to the other site. Although you have a similar project, but you have to remember the site is different. Every site is unique. Right, with that, thank you so much. If you have questions, please leave the comments. I will answer your questions with the knowledge I have. Thank you. Bye.